A pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Well, as you can tell maybe in my voice, I am a happy soldier. I'm a happy guy because last week we talked about the game of the week in the conference. Prairie View A&M at Southern University. 34-28. I predicted Southern 34-31. Charles Edmond, who won't join us on this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. No, he's got something planned, but I know you want to hear from him. He did give me a text message after the game, said I was wrong. I'm going to have to eat plenty of crow. I asked him what way does he want that crow presented to him, sauteed, baked, or fried. Head too fat. You're right, Dr. Prince. Of course, Dr. Prince early on said that Prairie View would defeat Southern University, and Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day, who graciously said, I think Prairie View has a little bit too much offensively. I hope I am wrong. I got a chance to chat with him very briefly. He was at the game last week. We're going to get Dr. Prince's thoughts. And one thing about Dr. Prince, he's going to tell it like it is in his opinion on what happened in that ball game. I'm going to give you some of the statistical story and stories. My notes from the game. It was interesting. I mean, you had a little bit of everything. You had a pregame introduction going through the middle of the field. Coach Odoms didn't like that. You also had penalties. We're going to talk about that. Which team was the most disciplined? We'll talk about that. Red zone defense. We'll talk about that. But at the end of the day, 34-28, the Jaguars over Prairie View A&M Panthers in front of 16,248. Some of you have expressed to me that you thought it was going to be more in attendance than that. We'll get a chance probably to talk a little bit about that. But let me tell you the guest menu for today's show. Joining me in hour number one will be Larry Chatterbox Hale. He's the voice of the TSU Radio Network. Will join me. And then in hour number two, in an extended segment, Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day, he'll join me. Charles Edmond is out for this week, but you can count on him not being absent next week. Because if everything goes well for Southern University, you'll have two undefeated conference teams in conference play meeting at the reservations. I will have an announcement on social media about exactly that game next week and the radio broadcast. So, Larry Chatterbox Hale joins me in hour number one. Brandon B.J. Jones joins me in hour number two. If you want to get involved, the Carlos Brown Show Facebook Messenger page is open. The Carlos Brown Show. If you have a comment or a question. So, let's now get into a little bit of last week's game. And then we'll transition into a matchup today, Southern University and Texas Southern in the second annual State Fair Showdown in Dallas. To help with this part of the discussion with Southern University and Prairie View A&M, I bring to you Dr. Brother Michael Prince. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm just chipper. I'm fine. I'm happy.
Yeah, I hear it in your voice. You're chipper,
Thank
chipper,
you.
chipper, dapper. It's all good. I was pissed off.
Somebody had to win. Somebody had to lose.
I was pissed off. I wasn't mad. I was pissed off.
And because of the game, and I saved your text message that you sent to me after the game, and I happen to agree with it.
Yes, sir.
But your initial thoughts on what happened last Saturday in A.W. Mumford Stadium.
And in all fairness, let me say this before I say what I say. I'm not casting any shade on anyone. This is how I saw it. There are two types of defeats. There's one when you lose, and there's one when you get beat. And I feel like Prairie View lost that game. Lack of discipline, lack of self-control, blown opportunities, put up enough offense. And that's why I don't get all excited behind stats, number one in rushing, number one in passing. I don't give a hoot about that. I want wins over losses. That's what I look for. I wouldn't care if you got 17 yards rushing. Did you win the game? And that's what I look at. This team is talented, and I've been saying that from top to bottom. People agree to disagree with me. They think I'm a little harsh sometimes, but this was a pure example of lack of discipline, and discipline starts from the top. Discipline, as a matter of fact, from the press conference of Dawson Odoms, he said he believed the difference between that game was penalties, which means that he said our team won the discipline phase of the contest. When you look at it and go toe-to-toe, you know, Dwanye Tucker got 14 touches. 14 touches. I asked Dooley during the press conference, did you see something? Did Southern do anything to make you, only get his kid, who's one of the top rushers in the nation, only 14 touches, 13 rushes, 1 pass for a total of 88 yards? Any other time this guy has been a key factor, he touches the rock 20-plus times. Why do you run a reverse play on 4th and 2? On 3rd down and 9 in the last possession of the game, you have a 2-down territory. Your job as the coach is to remind a young man who's caught up in adrenaline, who's been having a good game, we don't need it all at one time. We need 2 plays to get 9 yards. That's coaching. That's coaching. I don't care. And the disrespect that was echoed by the way you enter the field, that all falls under discipline. If someone comes and try to rearrange your furniture, I love you, big brother, but I can't come to your house and tell his sister Adrian, look, I think the coffee table need to be over here, and by the way, go get me a beer. I'm thirsty. That's that's disrespectful.
Yeah, and that's not going to work. And penalties, 12 for Prairie View for 107. Southern University, 4 for 33. Now, look at this. I was looking at prior to the game, the 2 most penalized teams in the conference?
Prairie View's one of them.
Well, actually, Alcorn and Southern. Prairie View's there, though. But in a big game.
Who got the most double-digit penalties in the conference? Prairie View has had double-digit penalties since the opening kickoff.
Well, I know they go by that and yardage, but the fact this past Saturday, 12 for 107, Southern University, 4 for 33.
And then that's when people, I'm sorry, cutting you off, so you got me worked up. I don't want to hear from PV Nation where they cheated us. No. That's an excuse. We got outplayed, we got outcoached, we got outclassed. That has nothing to do with cheating. As a matter of fact, not that you call it cheating, when you start relying on officiating, i.e. New Orleans Saints, you lost that game beyond.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What was that? What was that? Are we talking about the Rams game?
Yeah, but see, here's what I'm saying. Yeah, that was a blown call.
We don't want to go there because everybody in the world, including Stevie Wonder, saw that was an interference call. Go ahead.
I understand that, but that's not why you lost the game. That's what I'm talking about. That was a big play that had.
That was a big reason, but it wasn't the only factor.
That's what I'm saying. So don't refer to that, because what about the holding calls that go uncalled? What about the chop blocks that go uncalled? Because you can call penalties on every given play. So just because you happen to not get a call at a particular time, come on, me as a Steelers fan, Jesse James scored the touchdown, but it didn't score a touchdown against the Patriots. You got to chalk that up. That's not why you lose the game. Juju fumbling against the Saints is not why you lost the game. You blew other opportunities. And when you start finger pointing at that, that is a piss poor excuse of trying to justify why you blew certain opportunities.
Well, my other big note is red zone, scores and chances.
Right.
You're down there 6 times. You're successful twice. Southern, 5 of 5. 2 field goals by Barajas, who's the special teams player of the week. Also, as I've stated before, skill position, quarterback, receivers, very good for Prairie View. But Southern kind of flexed their muscles with being in the physicality department. Southern over 200 yards rushing. I'm going to pull that up right quick.
All right.
96 in the pass. We'll talk. I got something to say about that. But total net yards 238 to 168 for Prairie View. But I just thought Southern was just more physical than Prairie View, and they did the little things. Mr. Tucker, I was doing some after the game analysis. Of course, 263 yards against Grambling, had over 100 yards against Alcorn State.
Look how many times he touched the ball. Look how many times he touched the ball.
But it wasn't going to happen last Saturday. They, Southern said no big deal about what was said, 2 weeks before. But that front seven for Southern did very well.
No, they held on.
I didn't think he was going to get it. He could have had 10 more touches. Now, he did have a nice play with the pass in the first quarter. That I think it was netted him 30-something yards.
38 yards. But here's what I'm saying. They
were on him.
A guy that prolific, you got to find creative ways to get the rock in his hand. And that's part of the lack of creativity, the lack of maximizing the skill levels of your talent. Man, that was poor. That was poor execution. Now, I will give credit to the defense. The defense, to me, played above their head, and they played well enough to get a victory. That's my own personal opinion. But overall, man, it's a train wreck. It's a train wreck.
Well, a listener says TV is getting their money's worth with Dooley. And,
Woo! Woo! Somebody tell them stop cussing. This is a family show.
Because I remember the Celebration Bowl when the rumors and the talk actually on the sideline. I'm not going to mention any names, but some colleagues and others, they were whispering, "Hey, that's the move that TV is going to make. Watch out. Watch out." It's basically
watch out there now. Watch out there now.
So be careful what you ask for. Now, the thing before the game, hey, you kind of touched on that. As a head coach, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to disrespect anybody's stadium, their turf, going over their logo. Although we've seen in the past they had some incidents between Doug Williams and members of the Jackson State staff.
Right.
Some things they're just not going to tolerate. And that pretty much the warning was given. If that happens again, it's going to be trouble. And the ironic thing was on the clip, I mean, I saw it in person, but on the clip that's on social media, you see Dr. McClellan, who was at the game, in the film, in the clip. And they're showing him as, they're doing their chant like Etna Carr High School, which is where this intro originated. And then they go right down the middle of the field, and Southern football players are in the tunnel. Well, I say the tunnel, but in the field house, getting ready to come out on the field, waiting to come out on the field. So, yeah, is it going to be bad blood? I'm going to predict no, because right now, quite honestly, Southern has Prairie View's number. The last few times. Well, that's 4 straight now?
Yeah, but who's counting? You?
I am.
I know.
but also in this game, now, total yards, 455 for Prairie View, 334 for Southern. Southern ran 70 plays, Prairie View 64. We talked about the red zone chances. Also, from a individual standpoint, I thought Martin looked apart. 17 of 31, 287. He rushed for 133 yards. Now, for Southern passing, Skelton 11 of 20, 96 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. To me, there is still something just is not adding up. Something's not right with Skelton. There are plenty of theories going around, and let me just preface this by saying I'm not at practice, I'm not in the meeting rooms, but something is definitely not right. I don't think you can go next week and have 96 yards pass. I'm using that for example. Even today, you need to be focused and against a team that's given up a lot of yardage. Texas Southern. You've got to find out, is it you're trying to make Skelton be something that he's not? And, we've talked about before the season started, a lot of teams now, they know what to look for in Skelton. Last year, he kind of came on the scene, and now teams are prepared for him. It just doesn't seem to me, in my humble opinion, you guys may feel differently, that he has not improved.
I'm going to agree to disagree with you for the simple fact of this. You're harping on the 96 yards, but he didn't have to throw the ball.
But
he didn't have to throw the ball. If you
I
understand
that, Dr. Prince, but it's not just this game. Against UAPB, he did better, but he's been very inconsistent. And I'm not putting all the blame on him because some of my anger is at the offensive coordinator, because at this point you ought to know his strengths and his weaknesses. You should know your personnel, but I don't think you're going to be able to run for 250 yards on Alcorn.
But once again, you look at the numbers: 11 of 20, 55% completion rate. That is being efficient, brother, and doing what you need that you don't throw the game away. But besides the pick six, he had a solid game. He did enough to manage the win for the Jags. You had 86, 87 yards rushing on his behalf, and we won't even talk about the day that Ben had. Lord have mercy. They still showing highlight reel. I cringed when I saw it.
Yeah, he flat out ran over, man.
Yeah, hey, man, we don't even have to bring that up. I told you, this is family programming. You ain't have to go there. You did not have to go there at all. But, it was just, once again, Coach Odom, from what I've gathered, as I say, from outside looking in, his theory is we'll take whatever y'all give us. And at this particular week, they didn't need to pass, so he took the rushing game because the rushing game ate up clock. The rushing game did wear and tear on the on the defensive line, which, like I said, they played, I thought, well enough to win. But as the game drew longer, you started to see the wear and tear from the consistent pounding and grounding from the rushing attack. So they did what they had to do to win. Well,
it'll be interesting this afternoon against a TSU team that struggled defensively. Let's not sugarcoat it. When you look at the games that they played this year, it looks more like basketball.
Well, one thing about
it. And so now, if one of the things I'm going to look for today, they'll probably be able to run the ball at will. That's what they're going to want to do. But also, I think you need to work on some of your inconsistencies.
Right.
And if I see 11 or 20 for 96, and by the way, that pick six, Stevie Wonder could see that one. You saw it from the minute he stared down the receiver, guy jumped around, boom, go. That at some point, when does the passing, we'll put it that way, the passing offense for Southern gets consistent? it's gonna come a time when if your running game is not clicking, are you comfortable enough with the passing game to be able to win a game for you? And I understand the thing about you, as long as you get it done, yeah, you'll take the W. But I want to see some improvement starting this afternoon at 2:00.
Well, I was just at the grocery store the other day, and I was looking at a milk carton, and it says missing Texas Southern's defense and their wins. And
Wow.
so they are in desperate need of trying to right some wrongs. And as a Panther fan, you'd be like, boy, wouldn't it be a great thing if they found that win today off the missing persons list? But that's wishful thinking. That's wishful thinking. They have the talent to score, like you said, but they can't stop anybody. And once again, it goes back to my beloved Prairie View. I wouldn't give a hoot. What have I always told you? I don't care if I'm scoring 35 points a game. If I'm giving 36 up, I have a problem. I have a problem.
Well, here's a couple of listeners. One says Ben finally ran hard on that play. He has been east-west and tiptoeing all year. The secondary finally stopped playing patty cakes and finally laid the wood to somebody. Tamari Smith, textbook tackle.
Yes, sir. Yes,
textbook.
Sir. Yes,
and
sir.
Here's a young man that came in, transferred from the University of Memphis. He secured that cornerback spot. Also had a listener that said, I understand Skelton was efficient passing the ball last Saturday. The passing game is not there, in my opinion. When Southern cannot run the ball, I am not confident in our passing game to get the job done. Now, here's where I'm going to use another team in the conference. Here you go. I'm going to talk about Alcorn. If you told me that Noah Johnson would have gotten injured in that McNeese game, and then Alcorn would just turn a switch and they are a passing machine, would you have told me I was crazy, stupid, or both?
Stupid is such a harsh word. That's a harsh word.
I disagree. You would have disagreed.
I would have been a bit skeptical, because when you know the DNA of Alcorn football. But once again, it goes back to the coaching, understanding the personnel that you have, knowing their limitations, knowing their strengths, and maximizing that. And McNair has been the king of under the radar. Yeah, he's been winning, but to me, he is one of the most underappreciated coaches, not only in the SWAC, but in FCS football.
Well, shame on them. But Felix, once again, Harper wins a Player of the Week award. I mean, they're throwing the ball with efficiency. He's 185 passing efficiency, tops or one of the tops in FCS. And you would have told me if Noah Johnson would have gotten hurt, and this guy's redshirt junior, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
Alcorn evolves quickly, almost instantly. And now that is right, knowing your personnel. So,
but once
I'm
again,
going to still put it on Southern's offensive coordinator to get this thing moving, and I mean ASAP.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then. In Prairie View situation, our OC is the head coach. You can't fire you can't fire yourself.
No.
You understand?
But to me, I know coaches do that, but here's my philosophy. I want the best that I can get around me, and I don't want no yes men. And coach to me is I don't want to use that word, CEO of the program.
Well,
you have to be able to delegate. You have to be able to delegate some authority there. And if you're an offensive guru like Coach Dooley is, well, can he get off his high horse and get an offensive coordinator now? I mean, offense wasn't the problem.
Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're in 2019, right?
Yeah, soon to be 2020.
Yes, sir. If Lord says the same and the creek don't rise
Yes.
and we're all in the land of the living, we'll witness another glorious year. Since Frazier left and Heist Northern took over, Heist Northern was brought in because of his defensive mind. And it turned out that defense was a challenge. Okay, we score, but you couldn't stop nobody. That has been the epidemic for Prairie View's football program for at least the past 8-9 years. Okay, and everybody talking about, well, tickets. People buy tickets to see a high flying offense. No, that's not why people come to games. People come to games because you're winning. People come to games because you're consistent. People come to games because you're competitive. People come to games because you have a disciplined product. That's why people come to games. And we have to, I don't care about the glitz and the glamour of high-flying, high-scoring offense if I can't stop running water. That's a problem, man.
That is something that they're going to have to try to get better at for the rest of the season, and that would be something at the end of the season when you evaluate what you're doing. That will be priority number one. And priority number two, still to me, from the outside looking in, get better, get more physical in the offensive line, defensive line.
Look, let's be real, man.
And if not, they're going to be where they are now. They can score points. They can't stop anybody on a consistent basis, and special teams play and improving on the discipline. But some would say that starts from the top.
Well, it does. But here's the reality for me as a PV supporter. You have Jalen Morton, DeWanye Tucker in their senior year, right? And we would have to say that these are two respectable guys throughout the conference from top to bottom, regardless of what they're saying at the end of games. And if you can't get it done with this group, what have you shown me coming behind them to make my spirits be up?
Well, they recruit well. That's not a problem.
Well, recruiting well is one thing, but you got to be able to retain it. You got to be able to keep them there. You got to be able to stay and go through the regimen of being a student athlete. Now, personally, from my shows, I don't even too much address and deal with students because people can't handle, and I don't think it's right to go in on students as much because they're student athletes. They're quote unquote non-paid athletes. But when you have coaching staffs that are paid handsomely and you keep getting a dud product, if you go to a department store, a grocery store, and you purchase an item and the item is not what you thought or was defective when you get home, you return back to that office or that business where you made that purchase from, and you ask for a refund or an exchange, right? Because of defective product. Sometimes I feel like we got a defective product.
Well, I've kind of heard some of the talk on social media from the Prairie View.
Oh yeah, but see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though.
They're not happy.
They're not happy, but because I have a talk show, then the athletic department from Prairie View want to get all their energy toward Mike Prince, talking about Mike Prince as being a hater. You got what I'm saying? But hate on, baby.
Well, been doing this for quite a while.
Right.
All I can say is some people are going to disagree. Some are going to agree. After a loss is emotional. And if you look at it, for the second year in a row, after defeating Grambling State,
you need some you need some male enhancement pills because you have gone flat.
And then Alcorn, so 0-2 against Alcorn, 0-2 against Southern, and those are the two teams that PV is trying to catch up with. And they have not made any progress after 2 years. Now, what will year 3, 2020, bring you? I don't know. So now I guess maybe some people starting to feel a little bit. You think people are pissed off. Southern's got to take care of business today. But now you kind of see why some of the Jaguar Nation feel the way they do about Alcorn has the ups on them right now.
Well, see, here's another frustrating point. And I know you're about to say, "Oh Lord, here we go," but it is what it is. The expectation when we didn't have the money, when we didn't have the facilities, when we didn't have whatever, when we didn't have scholarships, let's just go out here and make sure we can at least compete today. When you look at the upper echelon as far as spending money, facilities, Prairie View is up there, but we're not getting the return on our investment. We're not getting the return. And as an investor, that pisses me off. As a supporter, that pisses me off. As a fan, that pisses me off. Because this is not back in the 80s where, Prairie View is short. And here, let me add this one other note. Even in the midst of receiving all them butt kickings, we still had damn class. We still walked with some decorum. We still had some integrity on how we came out on the field and how we played from beginning to end.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I guess one could say the rest of the season has to play out. But the seat could be getting a little hot there, or maybe a lot hot, or maybe more hotter.
Well,
with Coach Dooley. But again, I go back to what I said earlier. Sometimes be careful what you ask for.
Well, see, I was about to be facetious just then. I really was about to be facetious, and I almost took that bait, Carlos Brown, but I'm a pass about it.
And right now, they're not at the bottom of the conference.
They might as well be. With the expectations.
They're just a notch. They're just a notch or two below the heavyweights.
Okay, you know what that is? That's just like celebrating second place. And second place ain't nothing but the first loser.
Well, I think some fans can relate to certain situations with their own respective teams. So second is not good enough, or is it?
No, not for me. If I only want to be second, and if winning is not important, and see, that's where you got to slash these naysayers right here in their stride. If winning is not important, why spend $61 million on a stadium? If winning is not important, why have 6-7 different uniforms? If winning is not important, why even give out scholarships? If winning is not important, why even recruit? If winning's not important. If winning's not important, why even keep a score? Why even keep up with a record? If winning's not important. If winning's not important, why are coaches evaluated, hired, and fired based on their win-loss record? If winning's not important. If winning's not important, why do we pay the salaries that we pay the coaches, proven or unproven, if winning's not important?
I'm reminded of a religious song, 99 and a half, just won't do.
Yeah.
And so I feel vindicated when people said, wait a minute, you're so hard on Otis, and you used to hear it all the time. But getting second place just won't do.
No.
Year in and year out. You gotta get some championships.
Well, see, here's the thing. When you go budget to budget, pound for pound, I believe it's either Prairie View or Alabama State that's at the top at spending money in athletics. Okay? That's no secret. And, we did win a basketball championship in men's, won the regular conference and the SWAC title last year. And hadn't won a football championship since 2009. Last baseball championship that was won was 2012. And I want to say 17 or 18 won the softball. But the consistency for the money that's being invested. Now, something is wrong. Either we're spending money in the wrong places, we are incompetent on the hires that we make, or our schemes or lackluster, or as you referred to earlier, maybe it's a combination of all.
Speaking of that, Charles Evans has sent a text message. I do, and we'll eat plenty of crow next week. Go Jags.
Tell tall man, what's up?
And another listener says, take up a collection. Reverend Prince has preached.
Amen and hallelujah. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning, we start at 10 a.m. Go live at 10:15.
Well, Southern over Prairie View, 34-20.
Hold on, and look. If they want to send a collection, send them to obnradio.com and hit on the PayPal button, and we'll gladly say thank you and give you your acknowledgments.
Amen.
And hallelujah.
16,248 fans. Southern defeats Prairie View A&M, and now with a 2-game cushion over Prairie View, a 1-game cushion over Arkansas Pine Bluff, although the two teams that I just mentioned, Southern has a victory over Pine Bluff and Prairie View A&M. Now, for those who are happy about the victory, yes, you ought to be happy, but there's still plenty of football left. And so, the one thing about that victory, what it does, at least it gives you that cushion, and then you don't have to really rely on someone else to help you out. You go out each week, win the week, get better every week, and then you see where everything falls at the end of the season. There seems to be a collision course now. The two teams to pick to represent their respective divisions, Alcorn and Southern. But before you get to that point, there's a game to be played today. So, Southern University and Texas Southern. Southern 3-3 overall, 2-0 in conference play. Texas Southern 0-6, 0-2 in conference play. Gonna take a timeout. When I come back, Larry Chatterbox Hale of the TSU Radio Network will join me. Is this a trap game that a lot of you have been mentioning? Some prognosticators don't believe in trap games. You just come out and play your game and you take care of business. Will Southern be focused in this game? Or will they be kind of looking ahead? Those are legitimate and valid questions. Can Southern come out and take care of business? We'll explore that. But coming up next, Larry Chatterbox Hale of the TSU Radio Network. He joins me next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Hi, this is Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network, extending an opportunity for you to become a listening partner with us today. At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact on our local and regional high school and college student athletic coverage. We provide local talk shows, live game coverage, and much, much more. But we need your support to continue to move forward. Visit our website today at obnradio.com. Click on the PayPal button, which is safe and secure, and become a listening partner today. 17 cents a day comes out to $60 a year. Will you become part of the Open Mic Broadcast Network team? Visit that website at obnradio.com and become a listening partner today. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work. There's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
As a dad, you'll probably spend years teaching your son how to hit a baseball, how to throw a tight spiral and hit a receiver, how to spring off a diving board and hit the water, how to hit a 1-wood and a 9-iron, how to hit the bullseye, how to hit the strike zone, hit a jump shot, hit the open man, hit the hockey net, and maybe the most challenging of all, how to hit the books. But the question is this: how much time will you spend teaching him what not to hit? Teach your son early and often that all violence against women is wrong. For tips on what to say, visit endabuse.org. Brought to you by the Family Violence Prevention Fund, the Waite Institute for Violence Prevention, the Ad Council, and this station.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth, Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you 1 chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too.
I'm in.
Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's first guest is Mr., and I say Mr., Larry Chatterbox Hale of the TSU Radio Network. Chatterbox, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning to you.
You doing okay, my brother?
No, I'm not.
What's going on?
Because I check my mailbox every day, and I do not have my wings, Carlos Brown, every day.
So let me ask you this: Would you take
the mailman has went to the postmaster general on me because I check him about my wings every day, even on Sunday.
I gotta take care of that day.
You got me giving the mailman the side eye, and you haven't done anything about it.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Excuse me?
Do you like Boudin links?
Well, you had me so hyped up about the wings. That's what I've been waiting for. 3 wives later, I'm still waiting on my wings.
I gotta get the wings to you.
Yeah. And I hate that Mike Prince has to be involved in all of this, but hey man, you tell me wings are is a very important part of the deal.
Hey,
I had to hold my agent off for this.
What I got to do? What I got to do with this here, man? I ain't got nothing to do with this.
I had to hold my agent off from serving paperwork.
Look, since you on a rant about your wings, what about my boudin balls?
They're coming, brother. They're waiting on the batter.
Well, wait a minute. Everybody owes everybody.
But you didn't have to bring that up.
Well, I mean, you brought me up. I was in the background producing. He said, well, we got Mike Prince involved. I
could have won up Carlos Brown if you wouldn't have got involved. As the man would say for Scooby-Doo, I had it all together wouldn't have been for you meddling kids.
Oh, man.
On that note, Chatterbox, tell me why I'm concerned. I'm concerned with this Texas Southern team that's very explosive. You can look at the numbers. They have scoring has not been the problem. Tell me about this Texas Southern football team this year, offensively and defensively.
Well, I'm going to tell you, offensively, well, let's start off as a team. This Texas Southern football team is beginning to buy in to Coach McKinney's vision. They've been buying in each and every week more and more and more. These kids are still rejuvenated at practice each and every week. They're playing. We're so close, but no cigar. I say that constantly, close but no cigar. But at some point, it's going to break for this Texas Southern offense, whether it's Devin Williams driving the bus or it's DeAndre Johnson driving the bus. You've got Donnie Corley, the leading receiver in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. You have a running back trio of Lamar Darius Owens, Dominic Franklin, and Tyler Cook, and Ja'Cory Howard, the foursome, toting the rock for Texas Southern. You've got an experienced defensive line, a lot of transfers come in. You have a very scrappy secondary. At some point, we have to put ourselves in a position to win the football game. We were on the 1 yard line against Missouri S&T, and you had a penalty come up with a false start, and then you had a Devin Williams sack, which forced the freshman kicker who had kicked 10 in a row, Richard Garcia III. I saw him on yesterday. He's hanging his head about nothing. He's still a very confident kicker. 10 in a row. And on homecoming, one of the biggest crowds you had in front of 8,600 people, it goes to the right. But I got to tell you, this is a very scrappy football team that at some point is going to get it together. And they see the light at the end of the tunnel, Carlos Brown. And it just might be against Southern on today.
Interesting. Because you're talking about Missouri S&T, close loss, and then the week before at Alabama A&M, overtime, correct? 35-28.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying if a team is not focused, Southern's coming in this game, they've got to be focused on this. They can't look ahead to next week against Alcorn. They can't be still stuck in last week's ball game against Prairie View A&M. That's why, to me, I want to see how focused this Southern team is, and I'm gonna be honest with you, offensively, how much TSU has done so far in this season, I think it's still going to be a challenge for Southern's defense.
Well, I got to tell you, we've got some wide receivers, we got the running game, we've had a few Tigers that have been banged up. But we have guys that are stepping up. We've got a Nance who's going to be able to play this week. When you look at it, Ike Asanwanye will not start this week. Pippins will get to start this week. He's been playing some outstanding football. But when you talk about this explosive offense, you still got to protect the quarterback. The offense can be explosive all day, but if you cannot protect Devin Williams, if you cannot protect DeAndre Johnson, hell, if you can't even protect Chatterbox, it's not going to work. So the offensive line understands that they have their work cut out for them today. And the coaching staff reminded the players, do not forget what we came down here for.
Mm-hmm.
And Dawson Odoms, being the wise coach that he is, knows that Texas Southern can score. We know this. He knows that we're scrappy on defense. We're tough on defense. So he has to say, hey, don't forget, just because they're 0-6, that does not mean that they cannot get a win. They are a very dangerous football team.
Yeah, I personally, I would look at Texas Southern as an undefeated team. That's the mindset you have to have. Now, defensively, some games, TSU, the scores got away from them. Has Coach McKinney and have you seen some improvement defensively for Texas Southern that would kind of give TSU fans a sigh of relief or some hope that, hey, this team is building defensively as well?
I think we've improved our defense since HBU. Our defense has gotten better. Guys are tackling. You have to put the shoulder pads to the opponent. Michael Strahan didn't buy those shoulder pads just for you to reach and alligator arm people. You have to tackle. You have to use the shoulder pads, the brand new shoulder pads, to the best of your ability. Put those shoulder pads to work. And that's one of the problems that we have when you miss tackles. Players take advantage and they make big plays on missed tackles. That's been our problem. Folks being in bad coverages, not where they're supposed to be. You got to have your head in the game. Mm-hmm. So that's what he's preached all week long. Do your job. Follow your assignment. You know where you're supposed to be. We shouldn't be making major mistakes on Friday during the walkthrough practice. We've done this all week long. We have a game tomorrow. It's showtime.
Wow, Chatter.
And he says you owe it to yourself.
Like your coach on the staff.
And you owe it to the fans that believe in you.
Yeah, I understand. Visiting with Larry Chatterbox Hale of the TSU Radio Network. Chatterbox, is Coach McKinney and the players talk about the excitement of, I guess taking 45 north for you guys to play in Dallas against Texas Southern?
Yes, they're very excited. We have a lot of people on the football team from the Dallas area. We have a lot of parents and players and former players and alumni that's in this Dallas area. But I got to tell you, Texas Southern had a very poor showing the last time we were out. But I just think that the Tigers are going to get it together. The Tiger Nation is going to show up. The fans are going to show up. And hopefully the Tigers can come away with a victory.
Yeah, I pulled up the last 10 series results. 7 points last year, 21-7. I thought TSU did an outstanding job scheming against Ladarius Skelton, and then in 2017, 33-7. So last 2 years offensively, TSU is averaging 7 points a game. But somehow I think a benchmark will be to see. I think they get past 7 points in today's game, just based on what I see from TSU offensively.
Now say that one more time.
No, I'm not going to say it one more time. No, I'm just saying that Texas Southern offensively, I think they'll do better than 7 points compared to the last two games in 18 and 2017 where they scored 7 points.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do much better. We're going to do much better than 7 points. We look to turn the numbers on the scoreboard today versus Southern University. We look to try to get turnovers. We look to try to put Ladarius Skelton in bad situations, get him off schedule. We know he's a game manager. We know that. He's the guy with the keys that locks up at night. He's a game manager. And we look forward because he follows the system. He does you know what? Dawson Odom said in the press conference that he can play wide receiver, he can play running back, he can play a lot of various positions. But he happens to be the quarterback for Southern University. And we are going to do our best to rattle his cage. And we understand he likes to run the football. It's no secret.
Well,
he likes to run the football. But at the same time, he can hurt you with his legs. He's a good game manager.
Now, I noticed you didn't, and this is not taking a shot, I noticed you didn't say with his arm. And that is the challenge. That is what I've been saying all year. That's how teams are going to scheme against him. That's how I would do it. Prove to me that you can beat me throwing the football and decision making. That's the challenge in today's game. You got to start being able to be a true dual threat quarterback, arm and athleticism. Okay, I got that off my chest. Thanks to you, Chatterbox. Texas Southern will win this ball game if they do the following, Chatterbox.
We have to play disciplined football.
Well, somebody wasn't disciplined last week, but
I'm very aggressive in the very beginning. Set the tone. Catch the football. Drops are drive killers. Protect the quarterback. Wow, really? I got you. Put your hands on the radio. We need Tiger Power.
You know, I do enjoy listening to the broadcast of TSU games when I get a chance. And, you know, I'm glad everything is well with you. I appreciate you coming on, as always, and I'm going to have to take care of that debt.
Yeah, it's been a while, Carlos.
Yeah,
been building
like
up.
5, 6 years? 7 years?
Yeah, close to it.
Okay, we may have to throw a little extra in there for your pain and suffering.
Close to it. I mean,
look, you might have to throw a piece of furniture in there. I didn't know it was that long, man. You might owe this man a couple of coffee tables or something.
So, Prince, what you're talking about is a few months old. This guy has tenure. He's got wing tenure with me.
Look, you might need a new shop in the neighborhood or something. It's been that long.
This guy's got wing tenure with me.
Oh, look at that. Dr. Prince is being messy.
He's got wing tenure. He's been at it a while.
Oh, my God. Man, you guys are killing me this morning, man. I just spit coffee all over my studio board, man.
Well,
so it's got tenure. It's no secret.
Chatterbox, I will take care of that. I appreciate the time, and don't listen to Dr. Prince.
Yeah, he'll say that every time, and then he's on the back of a milk carton because I can't call those Brown.
Look, since you
get me on the air, get this great information, we get the interview in, we close out with the wings, and after that, zilch, nothing, zero.
Didn't even go through your agent properly, neither did we, Chatter?
Didn't go through it. I tried to do it as a favor.
Look, since you brought up milk cartons, Chatter, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I said I was in the grocery store the other day, and I saw on the milk carton missing some Texas Southern points and some victories. So maybe y'all can find one today, huh?
Buck, I don't like that one.
He got
wow. Okay.
Well, I'm being honest with you, man.
I got you.
I got confidence in you. I got confidence in you, though, baby.
We'll see how much you got in me. All right.
Take care, Chatterbox. Appreciate it.
Love you, brother.
If you
Love
don't
you,
hear
brother.
me anymore on the Carlos Brown show, we went legal. You know what? We had to go to the People's Court, Judge Wapner.
Oh, man. Is he even still alive?
Wapner?
Is he still alive?
Hell, I don't know. We'll let Carlos Brown find out.
Say good night, Chatter. Say good night, Chatter.
Good night.
Appreciate you, Chatterbox. Larry Chatterbox Hill talking a little TSU football. Wow. Messages are pouring in. Listen said Chatterbox is wild.
Remember the Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd, two wild and crazy guys? Well, he's just one wild and crazy guy.
I remember listening to a game a couple of years ago online, and it was Chatterbox thought it was just a horrendous call. I mean, it was an epic meltdown.
That's every week.
Yeah.
That's every week.
Wow. But this game today at 2 p.m., second annual State Fair Showdown in Dallas, Texas. Attendance has been very, very, very lacking. To be honest with you, we'll have to see what the numbers will show us after today's game. I'm sure the Jaguar Nation will represent themselves very well. Southern has won 7 straight games over TSU dating back to 2012. Let's see, the last win by Texas Southern, actually, I see 2010 and 2011 at Del Mar Stadium, 29-15, Texas Southern.
You know who was coaching then? You know who was coaching them then?
I'm trying to think. I was at that ball game.
Johnny Cole. Johnny Cole was
I'm trying to remember if I was at that
coaching
game.
them. Wow.
Yeah, Del Mar. Boy, it's been that long, huh?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long.
I think I was at that game. I believe that's the game. Once again, one of my wise decisions. I had a bet on that game, and I think that was the year. And I had to take a picture with TSU shirt on.
Wow.
T-shirt.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe that's what I need to do
then.
then. Maybe that's what I need to do is start having a wager with you that if Prairie View beats Southern, that you have to wear a PV shirt, and we take a picture of it. Maybe that'll give us that edge.
Maybe so, but I don't know.
We gonna...
PV has to get over that. If they want to be in that top echelon, and they've got to start having much more success against Southern and Alcorn State. But then, I often have stated it's about matchups. If you look at what Southern's done under Coach Odoms, GSU and Alcorn's been its toughest challenges. So, if you beat the teams you're quote unquote supposed to beat, but then when you play against teams that are of equal talent or just as good as you or a little bit better, what has been your success?
Well,
I think,
consistency, once you say it.
And that's the recipe for, back to, second and third place is okay if that's your benchmark, but I think everyone aspires to get a championship every now and then.
I mean, and more often than then. You know what I mean? Come on, man. I need some stuff now. And like I stated, and I'm not going to continue to say it, I already did my first sermon of the day. So you just got to do better, man. You just got to do better. And if you can't handle people expecting you to do better, then get out the profession.
Yeah, well, in both cases, I'll say this, Prairie View and Texas Southern, you can't say you're not paying the head football coach as well.
And that's another problem, though, Carlos. Here's another problem. When you pay what you're paying, if you're Prairie View or Texas Southern, you don't even have room. You set a bar now that you probably can't even keep up with. You can't even keep up with it. You get a coach, say, for instance, these two coaches, they have to go on down and go separate ways. The next coach is coming in. Well, if you pay these coaches this, you've paid two unproven coaches top-notch salary over every other coach that's proven in this conference. They come in leapfrogging everybody. You're setting yourself up for disaster.
Well, much is given, much is expected.
And that's what I'm saying. So if I'm going to pay you upper echelon fees, then I expect upper echelon results. Is that asking too much?
No, especially if that's
and so I don't want to hear
benchmark.
I don't want to hear the excuse that this is their first time around. They're not getting paid like this is their first time around. Well,
here's the case. I think. Well, incentives, and maybe not paying as much.
I understand that. I understand that.
But hey,
but if, when you gonna pay that much and add incentives to it, I just want a little better return on my investment. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
that's all. And see.
I can understand that.
Let me clarify something. Because some people, a lot of people just be talking. Well, I put my money where my mouth is. I'm a season ticket holder. I am a financial contributor to the Prairie View Athletic Club. I live in this community. I buy extra season tickets to help support and undergird the program. Okay, and I'm media. And but my credentials alone, I don't have to pay to get into nothing. But I believe in supporting the institution. Now, if you can take my money and you can take everything else I offer up, then I ought to be able to say what I need to say to changes of expectations and set some bars and some standards that I believe are reasonable.
Yep, I can understand that. I really can. But I also got another question.
Uh-huh.
Tucker really cried on the sideline?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a story behind it, but that's neither here nor there. But there's a story behind it, and if you want to hear it, I'll clear my throat. I'm going to hit my cough, Mike, and clear my throat, and I'll tell you about it.
No, I just want to hear him say what he said before the game.
We representing the West, Southern, you're next.
So
that's
now
what he
you're
said.
Say Virginia Lynchburg is next.
Man.
Oh, no, not that. We'll go to the
yeah, man, look, I even said today, what I'm looking for today, I'm not going to be impressed. Tucker could run for 2,000 yards today. That's not going to impress me. What I'm looking for are the penalties. Can we not have a double-digit penalty game today? I'm begging for that. If Morton rushes for over 100 yards and throw for over 200 yards, okay, whoop to the do. That I'm not going to turn cartwheels over that. Now, Thursday night, October 24th, when Jackson State comes to town, we can start looking and focusing on that. But I'm looking to see if the discipline can start today.
Well, that is something to look forward to. And, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up. Jackson State, that's another
train wreck
program that's just unbelievable. You know, I had a colleague said he was disappointed that the race is basically over, in a way, to two teams, Southern Alcorn. Not just yet.
I believe
you
Grambling.
You can call me arrogant, but I'm not that arrogant. It's still is a lot of football left to be played, and anything could happen. But if it happens that way, it happens. Those were the two teams to pick to play in the championship. We will see how everything goes. But what I'll do next, I'll take a timeout. Text messages are pouring in. We'll speak with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. We'll let him eat a little humble pie. Charles is not going to eat it this week, but you can rest assured he's going to eat crow next week and humble pie. Anything else I can throw in. Because he was like, no, he was adamant. He didn't think Southern wasn't going to win that ball game. You can respect people's opinion, and they break down the game and analysis. But as usual, I'm sitting here smiling from the top, just looking down. I was the only one that had faith. And I still was concerned. And I'm still concerned.
Did you not say you was going to a break, man? Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. You just have to bear with me a little bit. But we're all going to a break. Brandon B.J. Jones from HBCU Game Day is coming up next. We're going to be talking some SWAC football, some black college football, and another big game. FAMU hosted North Carolina A&T, but because of the weather, that game's going to be Sunday. We'll get his take on that. His top 5 HBCU black college football poll. Hopefully one team is out, and hopefully another team is in. Figure that one out.
Yeah, we'll talk in this break. That's how.
Coming up next, Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Are you one of the many Americans that deal with the effects of diabetes? Diva Skin Conditioner could be the remedy that you need. Diva Skin Conditioner is a formulation that was designed with you in mind. Diva Skin Conditioner comes with a money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in their product. For more information, visit divafeet.com. That's D-I-V-A-H, feet.com. Or you can speak with a representative by dialing 903-270-0026.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and another, and many, many more, and we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Second guest of today's show, Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. Brandon, good morning in Central Standard Time. I guess it's good afternoon in your time. Good morning to you and good afternoon, Brandon.
Oh, man. Good morning, Carlos. How's it going?
Man, I'm feeling good after last week because I thought about if I have to do this show and Southern loses a football game at Prairie View. My goodness. Somebody who we both know will be on cloud 9, cloud 10, 11, and 12.
Yes.
But it didn't turn out in his liking, turn out the way that he wanted it to happen. But Southern University over Prairie View A&M 34-28. You were in Baton Rouge last week. Your thoughts on that ball game? It had a little bit of everything in it.
Oh man, it gave you everything that you wanted to see. I mean, from almost like a homecoming of sorts. You had a lot of guys who were affiliated with the Southern University program, either through coaching or former players coming back, on the Prairie View staff. And, I mean, like I said, this game gave you so much. I mean, you saw Southern jump up 7-0. You saw Prairie View come back. Then you saw, Prairie View kind of blow some opportunities in the red zone. And some missed field goals, which came out to be huge. But you also saw Ladarius Skelton kind of look more like Ladarius Skelton of last year. That first half of Ladarius Skelton was rough. And then he threw the bad interception to start the second half. But after that, he kind of reverted back to the 2018 version of himself. And then that run by Ben, that touchdown run, I think you're going to see that. I mean, that might have been the highlight of the ball game, that run by Devon Ben. I mean, Prairie View, man, they had some opportunities to win it. And I think if you're a Prairie View fan, you leave that game Saturday going, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yes. So, man, it was definitely, it lived up to the billing.
2 points that you just talked about. I'll start with the second point first, then the first point second, if you get my drift. On that run by Ben, of course, he trucked the safety. Get it? Trucked. Bowled him over. But if I'm not mistaken, that whole drive, I don't think it was a pass play at all. It was strictly running the football. That was the moment, the he-man. You saw Southern's offensive line extend their dominance on that whole drive. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure of it, it was all runs, no pass. And then also, you mentioned Skelton reverting back. And me and my best friend had this discussion. It just seems like, to your point, should there be, if it hasn't been already, the offense scale back to more of his? He went to a lot of options. He kept it sometimes and he pitched it. My question is this the Skelton we'll see going forward this season and the rest of his career? Or when we saw him last year against UAPB, which is a much improved team, you saw him go 15 of 18 for 280-something yards. I just don't know, BJ, which direction he's going to go in, and has he improved since coming on the scene in the middle of his first season?
Well, I think that's the frustrating part of your, one of the blue and gold faithful is that you just don't know. Skelton in the pass game at best has been inconsistent. Mm-hmm. The Arkansas Pine Bluff game and the Bayou Classic, you kind of felt like, oh, he's turning around, and then he had some big pass plays in the SWAC championship game. Had some big pass plays the McNeese game. But then after that, the passing game was erratic at best. And it's almost like you don't know what you're going to get and how much more can they simplify the offense. At the end of the day, I was talking to Reggie Flood about this. When you're a collegiate quarterback, it's only so far I can simplify my offense to hide you or to protect you. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with college athletes, and there's going to have to be some complexity, because if there's not any, teams will eventually just say, forget the pass. We're going to stop your run because that's all that you can do. And they're going to force you to beat them with the pass. So that has to be at least a modest threat of a pass game. And just being on the sidelines and watching them, there were a lot of plays. We had a tight end or maybe a receiver wide open where he either didn't see him or saw him late and gave the defense time to come over. And then there were 6 opportunities where he got the ball on the money and the receivers just dropped it. So when you have a quarterback that's struggling like that, as a receiver, you have to help him out, because those catches impacts his confidence as well.
Yeah. It's just, I guess you hit on it. You just don't know what you're going to get. It's just consistently inconsistent. He's a tremendous athlete, but you want to be able to be a true dual threat. People will fear your decision making and your arm, and not just your athletic ability, if you get my drift. Mm-hmm. And I'm still trying to figure out some things, even with the play calling. So I guess maybe it's not just put it all on one person, but it is really complex. It's complex. What's going on, and in the back of your mind, there's going to come a time, if they're not running the football, can this team beat you throwing the football on a consistent basis, or at least in the game that they've stopped your running game? And so those are kind of the things that go off in my head. But they were able to get a win. That's the most important thing. But you just still want to see improvement.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And more important than that is you want to see better decision making by your quarterback. And there was, not to pick on the young man, there were some decisions that Skelton made that were questionable at best. That last interception, the pick 6, where he pump faked to the guy, and when he pump faked, the safety was already coming full speed, and a reset and go right back there. That's kind of a decision. I would like to see him, if he's not going to run on pass plays, to get rid of the football, get the ball out of bounds, because you see that he's taking a lot of unnecessary sacks and a lot of unnecessary loss of yardage. Mm. So that goes back to decision making.
Yeah, and it does seems that he's more comfortable when he's rolling out, as you saw in the UAPB game. Some some quick passes, some outs where the ball was gone quickly. And it seemed to get him in the rhythm and then confident. But we'll see what happens today against Texas Southern University. It'll be an excellent opportunity to kind of hash out some of those things, but I still think they'll run the football, of course. So that was an interesting game, a win for Southern University. Let me do this. I'm going to pull up the games from last week, if I can do that, and get your thoughts on game last week in the conference. And by the way, Charles Edmond is not going to be on today's show, but he's going to have to really eat some humble pie and some crow. I'll give you a break, BJ. Yeah, you said you hope you would be wrong with the prediction of that score, and by darn it, you were.
Oh yeah,
you were wrong.
And I've never been so happy to be wrong in my life.
I understand, sir. I understand. Wow, I'm trying to pull up the scores from last week in the conference. Well, give me another second. If not, I know where to call for help. Trying to pull up, folks, the scores from last week. I just had them. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a middle-aged moment, BJ. Okay, go ahead. Give us the scores, and I'll still be looking.
Okay, we'll go through the entire deal. Mississippi Valley lost to Arkansas Pine Bluff 38-6. Texas Southern lost to Missouri S&T 23-20. Alcorn State 42, Savannah State 17. Alabama A&M falls to Grambling State 23-10. Alabama State 31, Jackson State 16. And Grambling, Prairie View.
Look, it was. Now I just found the last week's results, and I'm talking about making adjustments. I have to make one. That was not a good series for me. but BJ, I guess another interesting ball game. Alabama A&M, as Dr. Prince stated, losing to Grambling State 23-10, and then also the Alabama State and Jackson State. Alabama State over Jackson State 31-16. A couple of teams lost their homecoming games last week. What is going on with Jackson State? I mean, it was, BJ, it was bad. They lost homecoming. They had some officials from the university getting a check presented on the field, but the game was going on. and I saw footage of that. I'm like, unbelievable. It was a rough day in Jackson. This team has really gone down, and now it's a matter of, can they make any progress? I know they're going to start the freshman quarterback in today's game. What's going on with Jackson State?
I can't call it. I mean, for the talent level that Jackson State has, and you were able to see that talent game one against Bethune-Cookman. Worst case scenario, you felt like, hey, they might struggle defensively, but that defense from a year ago is in place with Keontae Hampton, that linebacker, and some pieces in that secondary. That defense will hold them together. That defense will keep them in every game. But even it has been bad. There's been a revolving door at quarterback. It just seems like nothing is going right. And when that happens, and when you start the season off 1-5, after there were so many expectations based on what happened late part of the season last year, going into the Alcorn game a year ago, a win away from us, representing the East, and now, you had momentum during the summer with the kids that you're bringing in. It just made expectations grow, and now you got people who are almost calling for the coach's head, and he's only 6 games in, as the permanent head coach. I mean, I'm afraid for Jackson State because if they lose to Mississippi Valley this week, it's going to get real, real ugly up in Jackson, Mississippi.
Well, I've seen a situation where, and you remember this as well, Valley came in, played Southern. Southern lost 6-0, and pretty much Coach Mitchell was done.
Oh, man.
So,
I remember that Thursday night game. Whew.
Yeah, you're right. It's Thursday night. So I'm from the outside looking in. After he's in his first season, but, he's an interim and he's been around the program a lot. Is there an actual chance? I can't believe I'm asking this question. Is there an actual chance that it could be movement in year one with Coach Hendrick?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't
think so either, but I had to ask.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that, worst case scenario, he at least gets another year. But I do think that you got people who, you got people who are very, very concerned and they want something done. And you worry about the psyche of that football team because I think that they're close to just, packing it in mentally. And that's what you don't want to happen.
BJ, this is Mike Prince. I got a question for you. I hear you talking, and I like to scrape the barrel and get a person to thinking. You say give Coach Hendrick another year. What in the event that Jerry Mack becomes available from Rice this year? Do you still hold to that theory?
If Jerry Mack becomes available, that changes the game. Because the murmuring over in the capital city of Mississippi is that he was the number one. He was the guy that a lot of people liked. He was number one in a lot of people's eyes. So if he becomes available, then that changes the whole complexity of everything. I think that you, especially if you can get him, I think you make the move when you get him.
Now that's the key thing. Can you get him? What I've been told, and that name has come up. One, you couldn't afford him when you had opportunity for him to sit down. I was told he flew in, had some talk. Then you're going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're going to have to rob 5 other disciples to get money. And I'm also hearing that they're bleeding out. So that sounds good. That sounds sexy. But I don't think it's a reality just yet.
I mean, you can only pay so many people to not do their jobs so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the big thing. You can only, pay people to basically get out of town so many times before their well runs dry. And I think that's the problem that you have at Jackson State right now.
I mean, it's a tough situation. I could pour salt into the wound because you know how I feel about JSU. I love them as an HBCU, but I like when Southern beats them and plays them. That's a tremendous rivalry. But, man, that is a tough situation. I don't see it. I'm agree with you, BJ. I don't see them making the move after 1 year. Now, this time next year, you're in the same situation. And from my sources, he was only given a 2-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
But, so now then we're talking maybe something different. This time next year, if you're in the same situation. But it's a tough situation, man, at Jackson State. And,
I got another question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I joke and talk about the Carmody curse. But I'm telling you, since Carmody, they have not done well.
They have not done well. Now, here's the question. You give Hendrick 2-year deal, right?
Okay. That's what I was told.
Basically, he was an unproven head coach, right?
Got a lot of experience as assistant coach.
But he was an unproven
head coach before.
But unproven because he had 2-year stint, 3-year stint, something like that. He didn't have a whole bunch of success, is what I'm saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you hire a guy and give him a 2-year deal with some experience, and the same guy that hired him hired another guy with no experience and give him a 4-year contract?
I would look at that guy who hired 2 coaches in 2 different situations. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, I didn't know. I'm asking a question. Do you think that was based on, okay, well, I learned maybe I shouldn't have went that far? Do you think that was part of the rationale of why you only get this guy 2 years?
Well, I'm going to trust my source, and I'll say that someone hired in the director of athletics had a heavy hand involved in the decision.
In the terms, too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, that's what my source tells me.
Mm-hmm.
For Jackson State. But it would behoove them to try to start winning and follow it up winning next season as well.
Right.
Because if not, it's going to get ugly.
Well,
I mean, it's ugly already.
Now, in all fairness, they could run the table the rest of the season, and all is forgiven.
Okay, and I may win $1 million next week. I'm playing the lotto,
and all would be forgiven.
Yep, so people get paid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But on the serious note, I don't know. That's a tough situation. Yeah, technically they, maybe they could win out and
look at their remaining schedule. Look at their remaining schedule.
And don't win. What if they lose 2 games? They lose to Alcorn and Southern, but they win the rest of them, or they lose all the rest of the games.
If they lose all the rest of the games, you would still probably have to weather the storm, because it is just year 1. But it would be a very under the microscope year 2, if that makes any sense. You got to see it through at least for the next year, But the whole thing is you get some type of momentum. If you win 2 out of the 5 games you have remaining, that won't keep the natives at peace, but at least give them something to look at. If you win 5, okay, we getting this thing back on course. Let's go in here, add a couple of additional pieces, and go from there. It's a tough situation.
An opportunity quickly if they can win today, a winnable game, and then turn around Thursday and beat Prairie View.
And anything could happen because physically, when it comes to physicality, I believe that Jackson has a inside edge on Prairie View. Prairie View is not a very physical team. They're a more finesse team. I've explained that to you before. That's just sizing up for what it size up. But I'm talking about physicality on those interior lines, on the offensive and defensive side of things. Jackson is a very physical team.
What do you think, BJ? BJ, are you there?
BJ? Did you hang up on BJ?
Oh, man, it dropped off.
Wow. Okay, well, we might need to take a break and get BJ back on here. What you think, man?
Well, yeah, but I'll read some messages till we get him back.
Mm-hmm.
A listener says, Jerry Mack not coming to Jackson. Former players have told me that. Trust me, Carlos, he's not coming.
Mm.
My sources said the players wanted Hendrick. I do remember that. They beat Tennessee State for the first time in years. That's what's got Jackson State fans up in arms. And they were doing well against Bethune-Cookman for pretty much, 2 quarters?
2 quarters, a half of football.
Yeah. Interesting. To say the least. But you kind of, it's a tough situation. I will say it again. If they're performing poorly this time next year.
Okay, this is BJ calling back now.
It'll be a lot more momentum in that to make some changes. But Jerry Mack.
I think we got BJ back.
On the market.
BJ, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, well, man, you didn't like the conversation?
No, I don't know what happened.
Man, I
that
thought
might be the Carmody curse.
Uh-oh.
We're talking about Jackson State, and I don't know how much you heard of it, but I just gave some remarks from a listener, and we'll move off of the Jackson State situation. But Jerry, did you hear the conversation about Jerry Mack?
Yeah, I heard that they sat him down, and the money was like.
Yeah, he demands a lot on the market. I had BJ talk with a coach, an assistant coach in this conference. He seems to think a lot of times you overpay for coaches when you could get some young, talented coaches that have experience. And, you put some incentives in the contract, you could give them a little bit less, but then when you offer top dollar, quote unquote, then much is expected. And the honeymoon, the grace period is going to be very short and a short leash. So I think you have to do what's best for your teams in a situation, but believe it or not, sometimes paying the most is not always the best remedy for a situation.
I agree 100%.
Say that one more time, sir.
Paying the most for coaches it's not always the best remedy for a situation. A young, hungry coach that's looking to, and has some head coaching experience, or is a top assistant that's hungry, you could take a chance on him, but I just wouldn't pay him top dollar. Now, I'll put some incentives in there. He meets those incentives, then he'll be rewarded for that. But once you give him that big base salary, that's before incentives, man, there's no grace period. None whatsoever. So, BJ, Alcorn State over Savannah State 42-17. Have you been surprised the way Alcorn State has been able to evolve quickly into a team that runs it 80% of times and throws it when they want to or have to a team now that's just a passing machine?
I was, but not anymore. What Alcorn, I'm more surprised at what Alcorn does with this like next man up mentality that they have, and it's like it happens every year. And I don't know if it's a senior curse that they have for quarterbacks, but you remember John Gibbs, and then you remember he getting hurt, and you remember enter Lenore Flipman that rainy afternoon down in Baton Rouge and what he did. Yeah. I know bad memories.
Oh,
but then you remember what Lenore Flipman did all the way up until his senior year, and he was fighting off injury, and then they insert this young man by the name of Noah Johnson. And then Noah Johnson does what he does a year ago in his senior year and gets an injury, and then you insert a young man by the name of Felix Harper. And it's like from a quarterback and running back and offensive lineman position, it's just been plug and play for Alcorn. And one consistent thing has been that defense has consistently been either the top or one of the top units in the conference.
And see, I would agree with that. Now let's see if you agree with. I said last week that I thought I made the point of them now being still an offensive machine, but now they're passing it. And defensively, the numbers bear it out. They're still tough. But I made the statement, I thought Alcorn's defense was just a bit better last year than this year. You disagree?
I think that Sterling Shippey is the biggest difference on their defense. They don't have a Sterling Shippey right now to anchor that middle. And what he did, you really can't put into words. In my opinion, a year ago, Sterling Shippey was the defensive player of the year. If I had a vote, that's who I would have voted, just because he did so much. They don't have that, but they do have two defensive tackles who are pretty solid. People don't forget this about the Alcorn defense. The Alabama State game was their first time playing with their initial starting 11 since the Southern Miss game. They didn't play. They were missing starters against McNeese, And then when they played Prairie View, they were missing 6 on the defensive side of the football. So those numbers might bear out a little different if they're running with the full squad during that stretch.
Interesting. Very interesting. Visiting with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. Grambling State, 2 in a row, playing better because they've gotten the wins, but Coach Fobbs is still having issues with the quarterback play. But, hey, they get the second victory in a row against Alabama A&M, who I tell you, between in the summer when we were talking about who's going to do what, wow, everybody was just, they fell in love with Alabama A&M. But they're Jekyll and Hyde to me. But Grambling State now 2 in a row. Is this an improving Grambling State team in your opinion?
We'll know next week. We'll know when they go face off against Arkansas Pine Bluff. They got wins against Jackson State, who hasn't. Because Kentucky State has one of those. They got a win over Alabama A&M, Alabama A&M, they are hard to figure out. They are hard to figure out. I don't know what they are or aren't. But they got that win. They're going to be tested next week when they play against Arkansas Pine Bluff. We'll get an opportunity to see if Grambling is are they turning the corner, or are they who we thought they were. And I'm not just talking about win or loss. I'm just talking about just how that game was played. But I think that Fobbs is doing a good job. The Grambling has not fallen apart. They haven't tanked. So you have to give them credit for winning 2 in a row. And oddly, they're not out of the Western title race just yet. So I think as long as they have that to play for, you'll see them keep playing. I think the moment you get someone like Grambling who's accustomed to playing in that position, you get them out of it, I think that's where you get a team to mentally check out.
Yeah, interesting. Visiting with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. The schedule today, very, very light. Jackson State at Mississippi Valley State. Also Virginia Lynchburg at Prairie View A&M, and Southern versus Texas Southern. Jackson State and Valley. Who do you like in that ball game, BJ?
History has told me to go with Jackson State. When they've won with 18 out of the last 19. The one outlier being that 2013 win by Mississippi Valley. History has taught me to go with Jackson State, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Mississippi Valley beat them.
Wow, it'll be pitchforks out then. I mean,
man.
I've seen Comedy when he was at Valley come back to Jackson, and Valley goes in and pulls off the victory, and you saw the reaction to that one. It'll be interesting. I think Jackson State's back is to the wall. I'm going to go with Jackson State. Now, with that being said, I would not be surprised. Depends on the mental makeup of this football team. The freshman quarterback, from what I've been told, will get the start and play. But it seems like you will get pulled in that game at some form or fashion by Coach Hendrick. They've played a plethora of quarterbacks. And as you stated earlier, I would just, at this point now, look, just stick with one. If not, play one, play two, play them all. That's just a tough situation. I mean, I think the pressure to perform and knowing that you can get pulled at any time, I don't know if that's a good situation. Just my humble opinion. Right. Virginia Lynchburg at Prairie View A&M, not a hard prediction on this one.
Okay, Prairie View lets out all the frustration on Virginia Lynchburg.
When
I say all of it, I'm talking about all of it.
Yeah, it won't be a case if they score 60. Some fans will say, in this homecoming, you should have scored 70.
I think that's what we're getting in this one. Yeah.
And once again, I was chilling, and that sounded like that was a shot toward me, big brother.
No. The question is this a game where you're expected to win? I'll rephrase it this way for you. You're expected to win very big, handedly. It wouldn't be the case if they scored, I'll taper down a bit, if they scored 50, some Prairie View fans would not be satisfied because they should have scored 70.
Well, I think if they scored 50 and Virginia Lynchburg scored 21, you would have a problem. If they scored 50 and Virginia Lynchburg scored 7, it would be okay. If you scored 50, Virginia Lynchburg scored 0, it would be expected. Okay? Like I stated earlier, this is a game that I personally think there are going to be more people in the tailgate area than actually in the stadium, because this is a game that does not really challenge you much as a program. It just fills a quota that you have to have a team to play for homecoming.
Well, I think interesting comments. I think this is one of the games you're playing. Your opponent is you.
Your opponent is you, but
you should take it out on them. You know, hey.
Well, you take it out on them, but don't leave everything empty to where you have nothing to show up on Thursday night.
Oh, they'll be ready. They'll be ready Thursday night.
Okay.
But we'll get to that one in a minute. Southern and Texas Southern, BJ, many people are talking about, well, this could be a trap game. This could be a game where they've got to be focused. An explosive offensive team, Texas Southern, defensively, some improvement, but let's be honest. Don't look at the first 4 or 5 games on that schedule. It would frighten you from a defensive standpoint. Southern and Texas Southern. Who wins that one?
I like Southern, but I also believe that this is a classic trap game. I think that playing this game in the Cotton Bowl, a stadium that big, let's just be honest, Texas Southern people aren't making that drive. Not very many. You're going to get a spring game type atmosphere, and Southern's going to be lethargic like they came into this game last year. The game was only 21-7 last year, and if you look at it, it was one of Southern's worst played football games of the year amongst games that they won. You got this game sandwiched in between a Prairie View game that would have put you in first place in the West, and an Alcorn game that's huge that could have so many implications, namely being a home field advantage for a potential conference championship game. You got that sandwich in between those two games. It's human nature to kind of look ahead. So I think this is a classic trap game. I like Southern to win it, but don't be surprised if Texas Southern hangs around for a little bit.
And that's what you have to worry about, because the team gets momentum and some confidence. And if they can hang around and have a chance to win it at the end, I shudder to think on that one. But, and by the way, I believe someone said, no, they're counting on Texas Southern to help them out.
And that would be I, said the blind man.
Somebody else said, okay, you're being honest about it.
Hey, no, I mean, as a fan, I have to pull for Texas Southern right now. Now imagine how low I am as a PV fan, hoping for Texas Southern to help me out.
I'm not going to comment on that, but that'll be equivalent to me. I pulled for Jackson State before.
No, on a conference. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, realistically, as a Panther fan, the ideal storm is for Texas Southern to pull the miracle at the Cotton Bowl today, and Prairie View take care of their business for the rest of the season.
Pine Bluff State, they'll see you in a little while.
Well, and that game concerns me. Okay, but you got to get first things first. Get your spring game in today and get ready for Thursday.
I'm gonna quote Coach Odoms: "You win 1 week at a time, and stay focused."
Like I say, get your spring game in today And see, this is a game, like you mentioned, trap. If all goes according to plan and projection, Morton and Tucker should only play the first half.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I've read about Tucker, and based on his Grambling performance, outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm much more impressed he had over 100 yards against Alcorn.
Mm-hmm. But once again, those two games, I believe he had 25 touches and 26 touches. That's just rushing alone, not including passes. When you only have 13 rushing attempts, 14 rushing attempts, I mean,
they was on his behind.
They
had 30 touches.
They were on his behind.
He wasn't going to beat Southern. Now, Morton and the other receiver.
But what I'm saying,
Tucker wasn't going to whip Southern.
Okay, let's go back to the 4th and 2. You know, it's all about if, or woulda, coulda, shouldas, and all that kind of stuff. 4th and 2. Instead of me trying to run a reverse trick play, you'd have done better with a run-pass option, feeding and riding Tucker where everybody sucks in the Tucker, and you got a big, strong enough quarterback, you can get you 2 yards. And then everybody's going to be so amped up to stop Tucker or Morton, all you got to do is run your tight end down the seam. You got your first down, move the sticks. But a reverse play, go ahead, man. Ask BJ a question.
He's the guy. That's who they got him. He's outstanding, they're paying great money for him. I wish him much success.
See, y'all digging right now. They
paying him good money.
All I can say is, if y'all was close enough right now, one of y'all gonna get cut.
And let me move on quickly. 9 minutes. We appreciate everybody tuning in.
Y'all play too much.
Jackson State on a Thursday night game at Prairie View A&M. You want to take a stab at that? BJ?
I like Prairie View. I like Prairie View in that one. I think, Prairie View being back at home, I think that, I like Prairie View. I'm hoping this Prairie View team doesn't fall apart coming down the stretch. And, I like Prairie View to get with them on Thursday night.
Well, you remember last year, they defeated Grambling State, lost to Southern, and then I know toward the end, they were on fire. Prairie View offensively, they kind of got their footing back. So you kind of expect the same thing. It's basically they beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. They just need to have more success against the Alcorns and the Southern. And, hey, it may come next year. Who knows? No, I'm serious.
It may.
They're right. They're there, but not there just yet.
You know, this segment is like me listening to somebody scratching their hands on a chalkboard right now, right?
I speak my opinion on that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, I know.
We'll see.
But look, I got my big boy PV britches on, and I'm gonna take it because I got to.
Yeah. Because I know it'll be if it went the other way last week.
No, I don't gloat. I don't gloat when I win.
Okay, I'll just make sure a lightning bolt doesn't come.
No, man. When have I gloated? When have I ever gloated?
Well, you don't gloat, but you'll get that little jab in there.
I mean, jabs are one thing,
two
but gloating
or three of them. But go ahead. But last but not least, 2 more things I want to discuss. FAMU hosting North Carolina A&T Sunday, and then we'll close out with the top 5 poll in black college football. Is it me? Call me arrogant, but thank you. This FAMU team, it seems I saw the parade they had in the locker room after defeating Southern. After that, they're going to Dallas. I mean, they're flying. They're going. They have become a very good team now. Some would say an outstanding team. BJ, Are they capable of beating North Carolina A&T Sunday at 1 o'clock?
FAMU is capable. FAMU is capable, and more. FAMU is not afraid of North Carolina A&T. I've been watching them going back and forth on Twitter. We're talking about the players. They are not afraid of North Carolina A&T, and the FAMU players kind of look as if this is their moment to prove to everyone, we're legitimate. Even Willie Simmons kind of got upset when he was asked about the game last year being a fluke. This FAMU program, they feel disrespected because everyone's been talking about North Carolina A&T, and people look over that win that they got in Greensboro over North Carolina A&T a year ago. They feel disrespected. Everybody says it's a fluke, it's a fluke, it's a fluke. Now they get A&T at home in the game. I don't know if the cancellation is how much is going to affect attendance, but they were expecting close to a sellout crowd today for that ball game. Some things have changed. The blue and gold marching machines not making the trip anymore. I know a lot of A&T fans are not making the trip anymore, just to for safety precautions. So I don't know how it's going to change the atmosphere. FAMU is not afraid, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them win. I think North Carolina A&T wins it because I think you can be unafraid, you can be all those things, and sometimes somebody can just be better than. And I think right now A&T is just they're better football team than what FAMU is. But hey, strange things have happened.
Yeah, well, that game against Southern, I think it really gave them the jump start that they needed, and they haven't missed a beat since then. And so it'll be an interesting ball game. I'll try to catch it online via the radio broadcast. And then finally, your top 5 Black college football poll, which comes out on Tuesdays, but we appreciate you giving it to us on Saturdays. So with that being said, start at number 5 and work your way to number 1.
So at 5, coming off the big win against Prairie View, man, we got the Southern University Jaguars, first appearance. Oh, man. So there's the 5 spot.
First appearance.
First appearance of the year.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, thank you.
And I'm excited.
So in the 4th spot, we just got to talk about it. That's Florida A&M, what they've been able to do this year and how they've been able to win. None of their games have been easy. It's been close wins over Southern, close win over Norfolk, close win over North Carolina Central, close win over South Carolina State. It's not pretty, but somehow they find a way to get it done. They're in the 4th spot. In the 3 spot, I got the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman. Jimmy Robinson and the crew, they're just rolling on along. And quietly, Bethune-Cookman is undefeated in conference play. So, don't forget about them. And they have North Carolina and FAMU remaining on the schedule, and South Carolina State, who's still not out of it.
That's tough.
Yeah. In the 2 spot, I got the Braves of Alcorn State. Just like what they're doing right now, how their football team looks. Felix Harper, he's playing at an all-conference, offensive player of the year type level. And Deshaun Waller is now healthy. So just throw that out there. And number 1, it's the Aggies of North Carolina A&T. The names have changed, the faces have changed, but the production remains the same. This program has been solid going all the way back, to 2013 when they beat Appalachian State. It's like they've been rolling ever since, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. It's going to be a great matchup, great test tomorrow as they visit Tallahassee. But that's my number 1 team, North Carolina A&T Aggies.
Quick question, BJ. I think it's an excellent. Looking up, well, you can't say looking ahead, but is this Alcorn State offense better with Harper at the helm than Noah Johnson? And we got less than a minute left.
I think it's different. I think now you have to prepare for the pass just as you did for the run. Noah was effective in the passing game. Felix is he's great in the passing game. He doesn't have that running ability that Noah has, but he still can run. I think the offense is more difficult to prepare for now because of what they can do in the pass game, and you just can't key on those running backs.
Well, someone wanted to know what you thought about that, and you've given your thoughts on Felix Harper and Noah Johnson. BJ, have a great weekend, and we look forward to talking with you next week. Special thanks for coming on earlier and kind of taking up some time with us in hour number 2. But don't worry, folks. Next week, Charles Edmond will eat that crow. And by the way, he said Southern over Texas Southern 38-28 today. Go Jags. Okay. But he will eat his crow next week. Have a great weekend, BJ. We'll talk with you next week. If God says the same, I'll be in Lorna, Mississippi on the reservation. And I'll be ready and fired up. One way or the other, I'm coming and I'm leaving. Now, will I be happy or mad? That is the question. But Southern's got to take care of business today. But it will set up an outstanding matchup if everything goes right today. Boy, it's going to be live on the reservation next week. For Dr. Michael Prince, for Larry Chatterbox Hill, Brandon B.J. Jones, and all of you listening in, appreciate it. Make sure you tune in next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Until that time, as always, peace and God bless.